I found it on Rhema Radio.
Sign up for STORM, Short-Term Operation Relief Mission, a life-changing experience for youth and young adults. We're looking for volunteers who are willing and daring to experience life outside of their comfort zone. Come and make a difference in rural communities in Cambodia as well as Sabah. You can get more information at terencedeb, terencedeb.com/storm, STORM. Come and make a difference.
Do you have a heart for refugees? Do you want to help a traffic victim? Do you want to empower an orang asli? Visit our website at www.sukasociety.org to be a volunteer or a sponsor. Your support will enable children in crisis gain welfare, education and restoration.
Hi friends, this week's midweek service sermon was from Stephanie Isaac at World Harvest Church entitled, After Ziklag, Now What? Look out for that. And now for this week's interview.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Rhema Radio, the weekly podcast on faith, culture, music and more. And today with me in the studio is Jimmy Ong, CEO and author and resilience trainer and motivational coach of his own company called JOMC, which stands for Jimmy Ong Motivation and Coaching. Jimmy has given talks and impacted hundreds and thousands of people all across Singapore, Malaysia and around Asia. He shares his story with people going through their own difficulties, help people overcome adversity to achieve happiness for themselves. And Jimmy, really, before coming to here today, I know your story and it's a really amazing story, and I'm glad you were able to share it with us on Rhema Radio today. Welcome to the studio, Jimmy.
Yes, thank you. Pleasure.
So, yeah, Jimmy, I know there's a lot of things that went through your life, and it's going to be a challenge to even talk about every single point of it. But today, maybe to the hope that I have today is that when people listen to your story, they can be encouraged, and especially those who are going through hard times, right? And they hear the story and they maybe resonate a bit, or maybe they can even know that, hey, actually what I'm going through is not as bad as what some other people in the world is going through. Okay. So maybe take us from the beginning. What's your upbringing like, and where did you come from, and what's your early days? And
first of all, thank you so much. This is such a great opportunity, and to be able to share my story, and to be able to share is just like living my life twice, so I have to share. Right from the beginning, I didn't really have a good start. No, I have a good beginning. I'm the youngest of the 8 siblings, and my father was a taxi driver, and my mom a makeshift canteen operator. Being the last one, people will thought that as a baby, people the rest of my siblings will pamper me, will sayang me and things like that, but that's not the real case. I have to really serve the rest of my siblings. But I do have a sister. Her name is Lily, and she kind of doted on me very well, and with her around, I'm just like a king at home.
How big is the age gap?
She was 29 when I was 18, so it's like we're talking about like how many years? 10 over years. So okay. I'm the last, and she was the elders. At young, I don't have much resources. I have to make my own pocket money. I have to sell nasi lemak to the nearby factory to make my own pocket money. Then not much of a resource, like I said, and I dropped out from school after failing secondary 3 twice in Singapore, secondary 3, and here is like Form 4. Is that right?
Yeah.
And and at 18, my elder sister, who doted on me.
Lily, was it?
Yeah, that's right. Committed suicide. So I was actually very much confused about life at that age. Why she had to, use that the permanent solution for a temporary problem, and then what is happening, that kind of thing. So I was pretty shocked then.
And this is a sister that you're closest with.
Yeah, right? That's right. So
what drove her to make this decision?
I mean, what I understand was like relationship problems, and that's as far as I know. Okay. Yeah. So it was really very, very sad for me. So I learned a lot of that was then I was in the army in the camp national service in Singapore. And that 2 years was kind of tough for me. So I learned a lot about self-reliance. So I cannot depend on anyone. People might just slip off just like that, in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So at the same year, I was almost like died of freak accident as well. So it was kind of quite shocking to me. I don't really know or remember much, but I do remember clearly what the doctor had said to me then. He said that you narrowly escaped death. Your life is a bonus from now on. That was really what I remembered. It was really, really very shocking thing for me after my sister passed away, and then that,
There was a medical condition.
Yeah, that's right.
And you went to the doctor, and then when he saw the results, he told you these things.
Yeah, that's right. It was really like a sudden lung puncture thing. I had to rush to the hospital to suck out all the air and the blood as well.
Okay. And then you were saying that you had a business at this time, right? In 1994.
Yeah, in a business, but unfortunately, things didn't really went well, and business venture failed in 1994, which a year later made me bankrupt at the age of 30, and then it was like everything just crumbling down. Then I got married. I got married, and my wife divorced me. And the worst blow of all, I have a son, which was under my custody at the age of 10. He was diagnosed with a last stage brain cancer, and according to the doctor, it's kind of very rare for a child to have this kind of cancer. But unfortunately, it was. Too bad he died on the 10th of June, 2004. Exactly, that was exactly 7 months and 7 days after his diagnosis, and he was 11
years old.
11 years old. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's very hard to imagine, to have to say goodbye to your son at such a tender age, and having see him go through the treatments, and I understand that
there's nothing much you can do,
and you feel so helpless, and there's nothing you can do except for the doctors to do their job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what was going through your mind at this time?
I mean, I don't really have any really time of my own to think about life and things like that, because everything just one after another, and then. There wasn't any good news at all, one after another, and then his life is just go downhill, one after another, and then we have all the bad news every day, and then just not just that, we have also, I have bills to pay as well, for in the hospital, as well as our daily bills. So. I was thinking to myself that what should I just leave my job and spend more time since I was told that his last days are coming, but yet I can't, because I still need to pay the bills, right? So
life goes on in a sense.
I was juggling quite a bit during the ordeal time, in the hospital, in and out, and then at work and things like that. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing at work, So
just going through the notions.
Yeah, just going through, and then my mind, I just cannot imagine. I cannot recall really, but all I know was like I'm just following the motions, up and down, going to the hospital, in and out, and things like that. Yeah.
So this was a really. I don't know, challenging is a mild way of putting it, but it's beyond challenging. You actually lost so much in this period of time.
Yeah, that's right.
So you've been listening to Jimmy Ong share his journey, and we'll take a short break right now, but when we come back, we'll talk more about what was the turning point in his life and how he met God.
Hi, I'm Pastor Andy Yeo, and I'm the Associate Pastor for Teens Ministry in Acts Church, and I'd like to share a verse with you today. It's found in John chapter 16, verse 33. It says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world."
Welcome back to Rhema Radio, the weekly podcast on faith, culture, music, and more. And today we are talking to Jimmy Ong. Someone I would consider a survivor, someone who has went through really tough circumstances and tough situations and really challenging time that would break people. But here he is today to share his story. And you were telling us about the death of your son, Sean.
Yeah.
So coming back to that point, you were 39, and all the things that has gone through in your experience were very discouraging and very hurtful. And I just want to know, what was the state of mind at that time?
You see, even though I come to the point that it hurts so much that I even thought of killing myself, but it was because of actually the 3 promises that I promised him during the ordeal time, on a separate occasion, that actually kind of stopped me. And I still remember the 3 promises when I almost want to end my life. That's where I have this little voice, Daddy, what about the 3 promises that you promised me? So first one was to love my parents. I didn't really have a good relationship with my father especially.
And Sean saw that.
Yeah. So, just for example, one day after discharge from the hospital, I was in my parents' place. My dad asked me, you want to have dinner tonight? So I said no, and he asked me again, and I said no. So when Sean saw that, he said, Akong is asking you whether you want to have dinner tonight. So I said, yes, I did. I said, no, you didn't, because, Akong will ask you a question, looking at you, but you're watching TV.
You had a lot on your mind maybe at the time.
Yeah. So in the night, he just said this, Daddy, would you promise me that you love Grandpa and Grandma? Will you promise me that? I say,
That was the first promise.
That was the first one. Yeah, and then the second was, quitting smoking. I was a heavy smoker, more so during the, ordeal time as well. So each time when I smoke, if he smells something, smoke, and he will just, Daddy, smoking is. He asked me a question that I really don't know how to answer. He said, Daddy, is smoking good for you?
Okay.
I don't think any father will be able to answer this.
Yeah. But this was your way of coping with the stress at the time.
Yeah, that's right. So I say, yeah, I know it's bad. So he hold my hand at the hospital at his deathbed, and he said that promise me that you'll quit smoking.
What was the third promise?
Yeah, the third promise was to work hard, because after the divorce, I gave the whole house to my ex-wife, because I think that's the best I can do to go on a separate way. And I don't really have a proper home to stay. I was just moving around from one place to another, and he knows that. So he said, would you promise me that you're going to work hard so you buy your own home, so nobody can chase you out? So
I remember reading, I think, one of the interviews that you did, that it was because you had to take him home to for the weekend or something of that sort, and then that you didn't have a proper bed for him.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you apologized for not providing him comfort.
Yeah.
And then he asked you this question, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He sounds like a very sharp boy, like he's very matured for his age.
Yeah, I have to say this, that I really felt that during that period, come to reflect and think about it, it's really not really him anymore. But all the wisdom and all the questions and things that he said and asked and do was like, what he have done was like a little bit. I felt that I'm very sure that God is in it.
God spoke through him.
Very sure, very sure.
Was Sean exposed? You mentioned he mentioned some about Jesus and all that.
Yeah, that's right. He studied in St. Andrew, which is a Christian school in Singapore. And during that time, I remember during the time at the end of 2003, where it was actually school holiday, that's where the thing started happen. And in 2004, he can't go to school because of his condition. And we have to inform the teacher, and then the teacher then informed the principal, Mrs. Pryke. Mrs. Pryke then came and visited Sean, and stretches her hand for asking whether we need any help. So nothing. That time I was really pretty lost as well. So I say, perhaps we have some helper here. It'd be great to help. So help to take care in the night as well. So she actually connected us to Pastor Dennis, which is the youth pastor in the school compound, and from the Church of Ascension. And he came with the group of youth, and then that's where they started to make good friends. Started to make friends with Sean. They'll equip themselves with the guitars, and then they will worship and sing, and then they'll pray for Sean. And that's when Sean got exposed to this, Christianity thing more. And he just loved them to come, even though he's in pain. But he would just sing. He would just sing along with them. And as they pray, he will just close his eyes, and then he just loved the singing. Though he can't really sing much, but he will just tap, and then he will just tap his feet. And
so this group they were ministering to Sean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And as a father, seeing this, how did you feel?
I mean, okay, I see. That's the only activity that actually makes him happy. That's where it makes me happy as well. And at the back of my mind, I was just hoping that Jesus or God were able to heal him as well. Though I wasn't a believer then, right?
But in the time of desperation, you just want whatever solution you can find, whatever way to ease your son's pain, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the amazing part was one afternoon in the hospital. Sean came and Sean asked me, "Daddy, is it okay that I want to be a baptized Christian? Would that be okay for you?"
He asked you that?
Yeah, he asked me that. I say, well, to me it was like, well, yes, of course, why not? Because in my mind I was thinking, if God can save you, I mean, why not? Anything, whatever. So I say, okay, sure, why not? So Sean, along with his sister Demi, both of them were baptized during that period in the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walk us through the process when you heard about the news. I mean, finally, when Sean breathed his last breath, what was the circumstances like? I
remember on the 8th of June 2004, where the doctor told me that you might want to prepare for the worst, because for Sean there wasn't any day and night anymore. It was like painful hours and painless hours. So the painless hours has come down to only just painless hours, just an hour for a 24-hour thing. So he was like struggling badly. Doctor was asking me, this is not my profession, but I in a way to telling you that you might want to tell Sean the truth that he's going to die. I think it's very tough for me to go to Sean and say that,
and
Sean,
speak to your son,
I'm sorry,
that
you're going to die, right? So the doctor was telling me that seeing you and your son, the relationship is really closed. I wouldn't want to see him slip off without telling him the truth, right? So I decided to tell him the truth. So I said that, Sean, what the doctor have told me, and it took me so long to say the word that you're going to die, right? So he asked me why I have gone through so many of those surgeries and all those troubles. Why do I have to die? So I'm not too sure how to explain that. So I told the doctor. So the doctor came back with the X-rays as well as the reports, and just explained to him like an adult. And he finally accepted the truth that he's going to die. So I remember the doctor went out, was me and him, was really close. And then I was not a believer, and there were people telling me that, it's okay, you go to another world, another lady will be taking over, that kind of thing. So I was really, really very, very scared, what should I do? So I decided to ask him this question. So I asked him, and Sean, Daddy got a question to ask you. And then he said, what? I said, are you afraid? Are you scared that you're going to die? And without hesitation, his answer really, he said, no, Daddy, I'm not afraid. So I asked him why. He said, because if I die today, I will see Jesus. And that was it. And to me, it was like, what? It really kind of shocked me. I thought if my 11-year-old son could face life and death so bravely, how could I even think about killing myself, right? So his answer changed my life forever.
You've been listening to Jimmy Ong share about his experience and his conversation with his son, Sean, who died at the tender age of 11.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to hear more from Jimmy and how he picked himself up and carried on with life after that.
My name is Pastor Monty. Oh, Father in heaven, we just want to give thanks to you, Lord, for your grace and mercy, for all the refugees that you have brought into this land. Lord, they are running away from persecution, Lord. But Lord, your grace is far greater. You brought them here, Lord, for a reason. So, Lord, we seek your mercies be upon them, that they will, in this land, learn to know you, learn to love you, and learn to accept you as the Lord and Savior. Lord, continue to teach them and keep them in good health, Lord. Hold them in your arms, Lord, and carry them through till the day, Lord, they will meet you again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Welcome back to Rhema Radio, and we've been talking to Jimmy Ong, and he's recounting his life experience. And at this point, you've been sharing about Sean and how you had to say goodbye to him as a father, saying goodbye to your son, and how did you respond to it? How did you take it when the news was final and that he died? What was your state?
I was so. I would say that even though I thought, I told myself that I would expect the worst, but nothing prepared me for the grief that I have to go through, especially after the funeral. So I went back and I remember holding that portrait that I wanted to end my life. That's where I recall the 3 promises. And it was really, talking is very easy, but it was really very tough thereafter. I started to drink alcohol quite a lot, almost like every night. So it was really very tough for me not to get myself drunk, because if I'm sober, then
you have to think about
tough.
it.
I think a lot, and then I'll be crying. I'll be crying, behind doors every night. So I remember one day after the entertainment, I was driving my company's car and sent a client back, and that's where I was stopped by a police roadblock, and done a test. Breathalyzer test and failed, and I have to go to the station to do another test. So done another test and failed. I was into the lockup. That's where at the time I've done a lot of reflections about my life. So what have I done wrong when I did everything right? So it was really very tough for me. Come to think about it, why have I won all the arguments with my wife, then ended up divorce, right? So now that I know that, a lot of people is talking about your wife is always your another half, right? So you won the argument with another half. So one win, both lose. So anyway, so I was inside that lockup, and a lot of reflection. So after I was bailed out, then I told myself that I think enough is enough. I don't want to go through this anymore. I cannot live. I cannot die. I need to deliver the 3 promises. So I says no more of that. I think it's time for me to forgo all my face value, nothing to prove, but everything to improve. Then I started to ask myself what is not right, what is not working well in my life. That's how I actually started.
So here in the prison cell, and when you're going through this thought process, this was the defining moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A lot of people ask me when was the defining moment, when was the biggest turning point. Actually, it was inside the lockup, where a lot of reflections and about my life and what am I going to do when I walk out of the door. So that was the biggest decision that I made. The moment I walk out the door, I need to do something. Of course, the first thing that I need to do is to face the biggest fear, right? To go to the places that Sean loves, and then to dig his, to go into the room, to the places that he likes to go, and and some of his very personal belongings and things like that. That's the toughest one. But I have really made a decision to face the biggest giants. So then I said, well, I think it's about time that I need to face even the bigger one. So, I mean, then there was still some letters from the MOE about some grants for Sean and that kind of thing. His name was there, so I decided to do a big closure on that as well, a formal closure. Though Sean's principal already know that Sean has left, called home, but I still need to do the formal closure.
Sure.
So I took Sean's death certificate and made an appointment with the principal, and I was sharing with Mrs. Pryke about what happened in the hospital and all that. So she was just looking at me and just Jimmy, I somehow, so I passed the Sean's death certificate to her, and then she was looking at the certificate, looking at me, and I asked her why, and she said that I just don't know how to tell you, but I just want you to know that God loves you very much. So to me it was like, why? How did you know? And she said that in Christianity, God speaks to people very differently, some through signs and wonders, some through church and sermons, and even through friends, and these are very much like numbers, because there's meaning in numbers, there's biblical meaning in numbers. Like for example, 3 is the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Trinity.
6 is evil, and 7 is a perfect number. God rested on the seventh day, and things like that. And she said that his death certificate that she saw from the first day diagnosis of cancer to the last day was exactly 7 months and 7 days. So she told me that God, I really felt that God has perfect reasons and also has a big plan for you to prosper you and not to destroy you. And that was, of course, I walk out a little bit confused, right? Yeah. So I started to go to church, and not very much to worship, but to seek answers. And I was really hoping that the congregation will sing some of Sean's favorite song, worship song, right? So each time when a song is being sang, I can recall Sean loves that song. And I will be crying, I will be sobbing, I will be, to the extent that I think a lot of people in the church, especially the pastors, I go to different churches, I won't be standing up if they say any first-time comers. So they will, they looked at me, they prayed, they laid a hand on me, and nobody dared to ask me anything, and they know that it's such a deep pain. And my cry it's not just, tear, but it was just, I really don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
And but I look forward to go to church, to really hoping that I can hear some of Sean's favorite song. It was this one day there was 3 songs continuously played, and the fourth song was this song called Through It All.
Yeah.
And that was a song that really makes me cry. I was closed, my eyes was closed, and I can feel that glaring light so bright that even my closed eyes, I can't take that, So I can really feel in my heart that God is just wrap His hand around me, and just, I love you, my son. I know that every season of your life I was watching over you. At the crematorium, at the window, in the lockup, I was there every season because I love you. Because I love you. I can still remember. And it really, I feel so comforted in my heart. And I say, God, if that's you, I don't want to go through this anymore. I cannot live, I cannot die. God, please Jesus, save me. I come with nothing today. Nothing. I surrender my life to you right now, right here. Thank you. Please. Yeah, that was the biggest decision that I've ever made in my life. And I started to see a lot of truth unfolded. Miracles just happened in my life. So it was such a great joy. And then I started to go to church with a very different posture, different attitude. And I just want to just go and Lord, show me, lead me, show me the direction, where should I head right now. And the first thing first was, just love me. God says, it's just simple, just love me. So I started to ask myself, how to love God even more. And God just gave me this, in a few separate occasions, in three very simple responses. Step one is to let God. He will take over everything. You don't have to worry about your bankruptcy. You don't have to worry about anything at all. Just let God take over. Because, it says very clearly, cast all your worries and cares to God, right? So cast really, I cannot be actually handling that. I say, God, you take over. You take over all my troubles, all the bankruptcy and everything, you take over. And the second step is to trust God. I think this is really a faith battle. It's not as easy said and done. So I need to really give a full trust and say, Lord, you take over, and I'm going to let God, and I trust God. And the third step is to love God. And how to love God? There's only one law, right? There's only one law to love God. There's one of the verse in Galatians chapter 5 verse 14. It says, for the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. And to love God is to love your neighbor as yourself. So I started to, think about those people that I hated, and those people I don't dislike. And I started to, look into the beauty side, the good side of them. And I started to extend this olive branch to my ex-wife, my ex-bosses and friends.
To make things right.
Yeah, and then to just to thank them, After all, they have done quite a lot of good things as well. So I decided to look into the good side and then to thank them as well, especially my, ex-wife.
Yeah.
And then to thank her as well of what she had done as well.
Thanks for sharing so openly this very painful moment in your life. And I could hear also from your voice and seeing you here in front of me that truly God did deep heart surgery, in a sense, hard work in your life, that you turned to Him and healed from that really painful experience. And maybe just before we wrap up, just share where you are at now, because things have changed a lot since then. Your business picked up. You married, and you had another two children.
Two sons. Yeah.
Two sons now.
Yeah.
And maybe just real quickly, where are you at now after this moment, and then you pick yourself up and you turn to God? Where are you now?
First of all those that I have lost, God has gave me many folds more. Even the last one was my the bankruptcy that I have, after 12 and a half years. And one day I just received a letter from the Court of Singapore, and says that I'm discharged in the persuasion of God. In the persuasion of the Court of Singapore, I'm discharged from bankruptcy.
Amazing.
After 12 and a half years without doing anything. And it was really something that I really encourages me. And then I see many things. So I've found a woman, and her name Tricia. She has everything that I need in a woman, and she really grounded me, and we got married in 2008, and now we have two sons, Luke
and Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus, yeah, amazing. God, I've lost one, but God gave me two. I asked for one, but God gave me two. So now I'm just reaching out and then to share my story, to inspire people, inspire hope, and that's what I do. I'm loving it.
And I always believe that there is purpose in pain. And God speaks through blessings, but sometimes He needs to speak to us through pain. And that's something that a lot of people find very hard to accept.
Yeah.
Because it's painful. And why would a God that loves us cause us to go through pain? But sometimes that's necessary, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, there's this verse that actually I hold it very tight, and every time when I go through struggles, and then this verse would eventually is always give me a very good guide. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 5, it says, just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in his mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does everything. Can you imagine all those things that we are going through, that I've gone through? It's just part of God's activity to give me the best.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage people out there, if you are struggling, if you are stuck in some area of your life, and then seems to be no solution, this could be part of God's activity to help you to break through to the next level and give you a new blessing, the whole new blessing altogether. Yeah.
Okay. So again, thanks so much for sharing your amazing story. If I'm sure people listening to this are encouraged and touched and blessed. If they want to find out more, where can they read more about your story?
You can actually Google the Jimmy Ong story. I think there's some media from Singapore media as well, from Channel 5, Channel News Asia, as well as Straits Times. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to share my story in that
you also have a
platform
book
as well. I wrote my own book as well.
Breakthrough.
Yeah, my story, and not really a big deal. This book, but it's a book that I actually wrote really, from my heart, and every pain and struggles is all written there. So there are a lot of good handles, as well as techniques to overcome struggles. Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much for sharing your life story, Jimmy. And I know it's just a short time, but I hope people who are listening to this and who are facing a hard time to learn and also maybe take encouragement from Jimmy's own experience, that God indeed does love us, and He does have a bigger plan and purpose for all of us. And although things seem impossible and we don't have anything else, sometimes we need to know that when He's all that we have, do we know that He's all that we need?
Yeah, that's right.
And God is in control. Yeah. So that's the encouragement that we want to give you here. And also, of course, if you have friends who are going through hard time, why don't you share this interview and share it to them, and let them hear from Jimmy's own life story, and see that amazing God and God that loves can bring him to a place of healing and a place of even blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Right. So you've been listening to me, Jason, and Jimmy Ong on Rhema Radio, the weekly podcast on faith, culture, music, and more.
Tak pernah kau berubah, dulu, sekarang, sampai selamanya. Tak pernah kau tinggalkan, ku kan selalu setiamu tetap ada. Betapa dalamnya kasih-Mu Tuhan. Ku pandang ke langit, ku tahu Kau selalu ada, memimpinku di setiap langkahku. Amanku di dalam-Mu, amanku di dalam-Mu, amanku di dalam Yesus Kristus. Dia selalu menopang, Dia selalu
This segment features music from Athena and Thomas. This episode was edited, mixed and recorded by Moses Chan at Prodio Studio. Do connect with us at facebook.com/rhemarad.10. Comment, like and share our weekly shows so we can do more. Tune in next week for the next midweek service and interview. Till then, God bless.
Rhema Radio is a non-profit initiative by the Love Malaysia Media Project. Time, talent, and treasure is put into creating the content you listen to. Your support enables us to keep this going and expand further. Log on to www.rhemarad.io/support to find out how you can partner with us in creating value-adding content that ministers to the masses. Once again, that's www.rhemarad.io/support. Let's get the word out there.
I found it on Rhema Radio.